morning ครับ everyone. All right. On the last class นะครับ we talk about goal seek function นะครับ we talk about goal seek function. The goal seek function is a function that help us in order to find outนะครับ backtracking find out the origin of your goal นะครับ that you have got นะครับ by backtracking the formula that we have got instead of having the manual calculation like the way that we did in our solution for the equations นะครับ like in this one originally if you remember if we have the multiplication between two values นะครับ for example like we have C4 times D4 นะครับ 6 times 7 equals to 42 right if I say that okay I want to lock operand number 1 to be 6 นะครับ like this and I want operand 2 can be any numbers but I want the output to be 47.5 if you don't have any ideas for the goal seek the way that we normally do is that we just use the knowledge from the equationsนะครับ when you solve the problem you divide multiplication result by the operands because you know that okay this come from the multiplication นะครับ it's operand 1 times operand 2 equals to multiplication result then you divide the multiplication result by operand 1 in this case and then you get the operand 2 but if you know the goal seek features in Microsoft Excel you can just simply use goal seek features in order to find out operand 2 for you นะครับ in this case the things that you have to prepare there are 3 things the first one is the formula you have to know that the way in order to haveนะครับ this value นะครับ in this example it's multiplication so this one is the multiplication come from 2 operands นะครับ or 2 values multiplied to each other then you have to know that what a value that can be changed to find the result for example if we say that okay you want the multiplication result to be 47.5 นะครับ and the operand number 2 is the value that you can changeนะครับ to get the result while operand 1 you want to fix it the way to do is that firstlyนะครับ we just go to data menu go to what if analysis goal seek and after that you try to set the cell นะครับ the operand to the cell that you want to set is the multiplication result you want to set the value to be 47.5 and then you allow the cell to change is cell in the operand 2 นะครับ in here so the goal seek will try to backtrack by just like try to simulate the value of operand 2 นะครับ and then substitute in the formula in the multiplication result cell that is cell in here is F3 นะครับ until the value that you askนะครับ to be the goal of yours match with what Excel try to simulate in this one you can see that when it reach the similar result นะครับ 47.5 it stop for you and asks whether you okay or not in here you get 7.91 นะครับ in this one it makes the current value นะครับ in this multiplication result to be 47.5 if you are okay just click okay this one is to accept the goal seek next one when we talk about like more elaborated example like t-shirt when we have to produce a t-shirt in this case the difficult part for goal seek is that you have to know how to set up the formula for calculating that things and relate the value that you want to change first in this one okay we may do the same way as goal seek we backtrack what does the problem wants in this oneนะครับ you can see that in example number 2 it asks you that how many t-shirtsนะครับ to produce to get $1 million profit then that means you have to knowนะครับ the profit per 1 t-shirt first so that we know we will find how many t-shirts that we have to produce That means when we know the profit for each t-shirt, that is 1.75 นะครับ I lay them นะครับ I lay the profit per one t-shirt นะครับ in one cell first, and after that I say that I try to set up the formula. I know that okay, in this one the total profit, in order to calculate นะครับ you have to multiply number of t-shirts นะครับ by the profit per t-shirt. So in this one I set the formula that this one is C13 times D13 นะครับ, as the formula in here. And then you can see that when we said okay, the profit that we want is 1.5 million. So that means in this case we allow the total profit นะครับ we intend the profit to be 1.5 million, and we allow the sale, that number of t-shirts can be changed because we want to find number of t-shirts. Bear in mind that in this case somebody said that can we change the profit per one tees? Normally in terms of business the profit นะครับ depends on the price that you sell. You cannot change by yourself in here, but in this case number of t-shirts you can produce more, or you can produce fewer t-shirts นะครับ this one it's under your control. So that's why in this case the problem asks you that how many t-shirts that you have to produce, then the number of t-shirts can be varied in here. When we know these things already นะครับ the way to use the goal seek is that you go to data, what if analysis, and then goal seek. So you want to set the profit to be 1.5 million, right? And then we say that we allow the sale นะครับ number of t-shirt to change, that is in cell C13, okay, in here. So when we do this you can see that goal seek try to simulate the numbers นะครับ in number of t's นะครับ and then just like substitute in the formula, that is the number of t's multiplied by profit per one t. You can see that in here you get the profit to be 1.5 million sharp นะครับ exactly. So the number of t-shirts that you have to produce is 857,142.86. By the way, in this problem they ask you for number of t-shirts นะครับ that means you have to produce the full นะครับ t-shirt numbers. You cannot have the decimal points like 0.86 like this. So I suggest you to round the numbers before you answer in here. So in this one we can see that we use the round function นะครับ followed by the number you want to round, and then use 0 for the decimal numbers นะครับ or decimal points. So it is rounded to be 857,143 t-shirts นะครับ to be produced to get around 1.5 million dollars for the profit นะครับ. By the way, some cases นะครับ some example of the goal seek might not be as easy as finding the t-shirts profit, because sometimes นะครับ the way in order to formulate the function นะครับ the calculation might be just like a bit complicated and tricky นะครับ. For example, in example number 3 I told you that in order to find out the advertising cost here, okay, we need to find out นะครับ the advertising cost amount. In this example we say that okay, we know that advertising cost is 15% of the profit. By the way นะครับ profit is a part นะครับ of the calculation from advertising cost as well. So if you just calculate directly นะครับ it will cause a problem that is called circular reference นะครับ. Okay, let's see นะครับ I'll talk about the circular reference once again. In this one you can see that assume that the COGS นะครับ equals to 20% of sales amount. Assume that sales amount is $100,000 นะครับ. COGS is 20%, that is $20,000. Okay, that is straight away you just calculate by multiplying sales amount by 20% นะครับ. And we say that okay, advertising cost equals to 15% of gross profit. Before we calculate that, we have to find gross profit first, and normally gross profit is the revenue subtracted by cost. We have one revenue นะครับ that is sales amount, and we have two costs that are COGS and advertising costs. So in here, to find the gross profit, it is sales amount subtracted by these two costs. In this one, you can see that it is 80,000, right, for the gross profit currently. So if you would like to find out the advertising cost, from the problem, it said that it's 15% of the profit, right? If you multiply gross profit by 15%, by 15%, if you do like this, the problem is that it costs the circular reference because gross profit need to use advertising costs for calculation. And in this case, advertising costs is 15% of gross profit. So it refers to each other, something like that, as a circular, as a circle like this. So that's why we call it as circular reference. And bear in mind, whenever you open any Microsoft Excel workbook and you see the double directional arrow, the bidirectional arrows in blue color like this with two dots at the tip of the arrow, in here, it is called as circular reference. Try to check the formula on both sides of the arrowhead. One of these formulas are wrong. In this case, if you have a look, this is suspicious that either 80,000 or 0 is wrong. If you go to see the formula in the 0, it said that it's 15% of C28. You can see that 15% of 28, C28 is not 0 for sure. 15% of 80,000 is around like 10,500, not 0. That means this one, there must be something wrong. So in this case, okay, I'll delete it first. And then we just like have to find some other ways in order to calculate it. You say that, okay, in this problem, the advertising cost is 15% of gross profit. So the way to do, instead of just like dividing the gross profit directly with, multiply the gross profit directly with 15%. We don't do that. The way that we have to do is that we just like assume some number first, and we divide by the gross profit right now. See whether it's equal to 15% or not. If it's equal to 15%, that is the advertising cost. Instead of multiplying gross profit by 15%, you divide advertising cost that you assume some numbers in with the gross profit that is in the cell C28 right now. So in this one, if you don't have any ideas about the goal seek, we set up the things like this first. We know that, okay, when you don't want circular reference, instead of using some formula here, you just like put some number instead of the formula that refer to the cell C28. By the way, to calculate the percentage, you divide this cell by gross profit to know the percentage. It's not related directly. It's not circular reference between these two cells for sure, because you just like divide them and put it in another cell. For example, if I say that I put 10,000, so you can see that even though the gross profit is reduced, I don't care now. The things I want to know is the percentage, whether it's 15% or not. Now, if the advertising cost is 10,000, it costs the profit. It costs the percentage for the advertising cost to be 14.286. The goal is that we want 15%. How are we going to do that? In this case, when we get the idea like this already, the way we did last time was that we try to use the goal seek to help filling up the number in the advertising cost amount instead to make cell D26 or the percentage of the advertising cost to be 15% sharp. In this case, the formula here, I put already that to find the percentage of the advertising cost is C26 divided by C28. Now, I say that all I want is that I want the D26 นะครับ all percentage here to be 15%. I allow the advertising cost in the yellow cell to be changed into whatever number, but ultimately I want the goal to be 15% here. So the way to do in hereนะครับ, we just like go to do the goal seek by clicking on data, and then we go to what if analysis and then go seek. Now we have the formula already นะครับ in the cell D26. I want this cell นะครับ the goal I want 15%, and then I allow the cell in C26 to be changed นะครับ you can see that when I click OK, go seek will try to work until it reach the nearest number นะครับ that go seek can do. Depends on each computer นะครับ on my computer the ability that go seek can do is up to 14.963%. Some of you may get 15% sharp, some of you might get like 15.01%, something like that นะครับ that is not strange, but it depends whether you can accept that value or not. For example, in here I said that I'm not okay with it. I try again. I do the go seek once again to see whether it gets 15% finally or not. I allow this cell to change. So that is like the best number that my computer can do. What about like other computers นะครับ it depends on the setting, it depends on the spec of the computer as well, that whether you get 15% or 14.96% or 15.01% นะครับ. so if each computer can just like use go seek and get like some different numbers if you have some complicated values like this one นะครับ. Excel try its best นะครับ to put the numbers from cell C26 นะครับ simulate the number and then substitute in the formula, and then it stops only when it reach นะครับ or it's approaching the target value that you set up นะครับ in here. So in this one, what should I do? If this one is acceptable, I click OK first นะครับ and then just like leave it like that. But if I think it is not okay, I still be able to fine tune this number ครับ. So the things that I have to do is that I have to manually simulate some data by myself. Let's see, suppose I say that I want 10,413. No. 19, no. 25, no. 30, no. 35, yeah, okay. Now I just like use นะครับ my manual typing and fine tuning the numbers until I get 15% directly นะครับ something like that, and then we can stop นะครับ we can stop. So in this case, suppose you see this one in the exam, what should we do นะครับ when you use go seek นะครับ and go seek, let's say if it just like show you 14.95%, something like that, and the problem asks you to be 15% นะครับ in this one I suggest you นะครับ to just like try some other numbers to get 15% sharp นะครับ because go seek help you as much as it can already. Okay, so in this case you can see that the advertising cost นะครับ is $10,435. that is 15% of 69,565, and gross profit นะครับ from these calculations they are 69,565 already นะครับ. this is what we want นะครับ. so in this one you can answer that okay, advertising cost is this number, gross profit is this number. Okay, right, okay นะครับ this is go seek, right? Okay, all right then. Okay, let me see somebody ask something or not. Okay ธนัชชา no problem นะครับ okay so for the rest of you do you have any questions about this example that we studied before all right if there is no questions นะครับ now let's talk about the next topic that is important topic as well this topic is called lookup references นะครับ so everyone please insert your new worksheet นะครับ and name this worksheet as lookup references lookup references นะครับ okay here so for the lookup references นะครับ we use these functions นะครับ now we are talking about these functions in Microsoft Excel there are four major functions that you have to learn that are hang on, let me see first lookup นะครับ VLOOKUP index and match there are four functions that we have to learn now let's talk about the lookup references first what is the lookup reference let me give you an example ครับ suppose นะครับ you have a worksheet นะครับ that is the total score of student นะครับ so suppose I have students in here these students นะครับ when I want to find their total score to grade them I need นะครับ to have their midterm score and final score นะครับ okay suppose I say that okay okay you can see that when we have to find out the total score of the student's ID number one นะครับ ID 1 here you have to use นะครับ or you have to find the score นะครับ you have to find the score from the midterm of that student put it here then you have to go to find the final score of the students in another worksheet and put it here นะครับ to sum the score of students นะครับ in order to grade that student so you can see that these actions we call it as looking up the data we look up the data from other sources นะครับ in this example the data for midterm score and final score they are stored in the in other worksheets นะครับ or in other tables and then we have to look up like this so if there are just like couple of students no problem ครับ you can do it you can just like switch to another worksheet นะครับ and then copy the midterm score of that student go back to the previous worksheet and paste it there นะครับ something like that back and forth the problem is that if you have 100 students how can we do that นะครับ if we have to do like this That means you have to do this looking up for midterm score 100 times back and forth. Then you go to final 100 times back and forth. So at least you have to look up 200 times manually in order to fill up the score of the students. It may take half of a day at least. So Excel try to provide you with the better ideas in order to get and look up the data for you. So the first function that we have to learn is what we call H lookup function. The H lookup function, the alphabet H in front of this function represents the orientation of data. Same as V is to we represent the orientation of data as well. H is horizontal, V is vertical. Okay, what does it mean by horizontal or vertical? Let's have a look up. In this example, if you have a look on our midterm and final score, the data of different students span in here, it span vertically. In here is vertically as well. So in this case, if you want to look up the data of midterm score and final score of the student, we have to use VLOOKUP or vertical lookup. What about the H lookup? The score will span like this, everyone. Let me just clear off this one first. You can see that in this example, the score of each student, the score of each student span in the horizontal way, span in the horizontal way here. So in this case, we have to use H lookup to find out the score of the student. As I told you, it depends on how the data is organized, or oriented in what way, vertically or horizontally. While index and match is different, index and match doesn't have to use any key to search for. You just specify the location of the cell. That I'll talk about it later on. Now, I want to focus on H lookup and V lookup first. Before I talk about H lookup and V lookup, class, I want you to have a look on my drawing, on my drawing. Can you tell me, what kind of data that you see repeatedly or many times in both tables? The easy thing that you may answer to me is that, oh, it's the ID1, ID2, ID3, ID 100, right? Okay. So for the H lookup and V lookup, the important that we have that we need to have and use is the key value. Otherwise, you cannot look up, because let's imagine if I have another table, that look like this. If I have another table that look like this, here, you can see that in the blue box here, you will never know the score belongs to whom. That's why we need to have this. We need to have the ID to just like identify the owner of that score. So these are the key values that we need to have. Apart from the data that we want to get, 39, 38, 32, 29, this is a score that you want to get. So how does H lookup, V lookup work? So H lookup and V lookup, the way that this function will do is that it will just like try to just like check from the key that you would like to search forนะครับ and then look up in the table that you identify. So in this caseนะครับ if you want to find by the ID of the student, the ID of the student must be in the first row of the tableนะครับ. It will just like search for the specific ID. For example, in here is ID 1. Then if you want to get the score from ID 1 นะครับ, then it reach here and it say that okay, if you want the score that is located in the second row, then it returns 39 to this cell ครับ but if you say that you have ID 999, the way that the the HLOOKUP or VLOOKUP will do is that it will just like do the same thing as I told you ครับ it will just like use ID 999 to search in this table นะครับ if ID 1 is not ID 999, it goes to the next one. When it's not equals, go to the next one until the last one. That it's the end of the table. There's no ID 999. Then it will stop and tell you that it's error. There's nobody whose ID is ID 999. นะครับ so in this one, this is the basic ideas of the HLOOKUP. VLOOKUP does the same thing นะครับ it just like traverse through the table that you just like specify until it reach the matching value, and then it just like report the numbers or value that you specify in another row or another column นะครับ and show you as a result. If you don't have that value นะครับ it just like stop and show the error for you instead. Okay. This is the basic idea of the lookup references in terms of HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. In the future, I'm sure that for anybody who would like to be data analyst นะครับ or data scientist นะครับ, that is just like the hot occupation for people right now. Even though we are in the business field นะครับ, the data scientist นะครับ is important as well, because I mean like some of your seniors นะครับ my former students from BBA who took these courses before, some of them นะครับ asked me before they just like go for further study. They asked me to write a recommendation letter for them. They asked me that อาจารย์ I want to take my master degree in overseas. Some of them are were planned to go to US. Some of them plan to go to UK. They asked me that อาจารย์ I would like to take MBA finance or data analytics, which one is good? And then I asked them that okay, what kind of thing that you want to have, that you feel interested in. Finally, we can just like help each other to define that they want to have like data analytics path นะครับ for data analytics work, when you come back นะครับ you can be the data scientist to analyze the data in the organization, in the business นะครับ especially that right now นะครับ you can see that the data come from everywhere. As I just like mentioned on the syllabus of this course, that okay, information or data is the new oil นะครับ for the company. That means when you sell any products, when you advertise any product and you get a feedback from the customer or potential customers, you can analyze those kind of things นะครับ. Have you ever noticed that okay, when you go to supermarket นะครับ, let's say when you go to supermarket, sometimes you see some kind of products นะครับ put next to each other without any, what to say, reasonable, without any reasons. For example นะครับ somebody may see some, let's say, peanuts with pamper section. Can somebody tell me? Okay, let me just like stop sharing first. Okay, can somebody I mean like, have you ever seen the event like that when you go to supermarket? Have you ever seen some strange products นะครับ might hang next to the shelf that you want to buy something else instead? For example, why don't you see why don't you see soft drink next to the cashier? Why don't you see what to say, chewing gums, candies next to the cashier counter? Why do you see the almonds or peanuts นะครับ bags of peanuts or almonds hang next to the Pampers section? Can somebody tell me? When you go to see like different products, some strange product hang or just like put next to the shelf. I mean in the same shelf. Okay. Yes ครับ Yes ก้องกิดากร What do you think?
Coincidence?
Pardon me?
Coincidence?
No, there's no coincidence in the supermarket.
Oh, okay.
It's intention.
Is it a marketing strategy then?
Marketing strategy. Do you see any relationship between peanuts and Pampers? For milk and peanuts, okay, I understand that they might be just like some healthy drink นะครับ and snack might go along together. But in this one, it's Pampers and peanuts. Okay, so maybe no explanation, right? Okay, you might think that it's coincidence. I can tell you that there's no coincidence in the setting นะครับ or shelving the products in the supermarket. Okay, next, another example นะครับ when you go to 7-Eleven นะครับ when you go to 7-Eleven you can see that let me just like tell what you do. Okay, water, soft drink, alcoholic drink, it's in the fridge, right? The fridge is the innermost inside 7-Eleven, while something like cosmetic things นะครับ is in front. Okay, shampoo, soap is in the front section of the counter, sorry, of the shelves that in 7-Eleven. Why is that happen ครับ This one is from data analytics นะครับ I can tell you. If I ask you that compare between soaps, shampoo in 7-Eleven นะครับ with soft drink, water, which one you buy more frequent, I mean?
Soft
Soap?
drink and water?
Yeah, soft drink and water, right? So if they put soft drink and water นะครับ next to the wall, very near to the cashier, will you go to buy, will you walk inside the 7-Eleven or you just like grab a drink and then you just pay?
Just grab and leave.
Yeah.
You just grab, pay and leave.
So that means there will be no traffic to the cosmetic section or shampoos or soap at all. That's why this is the intention. They put the fridge inside นะครับ the innermost part of the shop and put the things that you buy less in front so that you walk past first นะครับ How do they know? They don't just notice นะครับ they use the pattern of the purchasing receipts that you purchase from them to analyze. For Pampers and snacks like popcorns นะครับ like I cannot remember the name, microwave popcorn, okay, and then snacks like peanuts like that with the Pampers, that is not coincidence นะครับ but they analyze that, okay, in the same receipt there are lots of people purchase Pampers and peanuts and popcorns in the same receipt. That's why they put them together. And inside, what happened? My question is that who buy Pampers normally? For whom? Pampers is for whom? Okay. It's for babies, right? Normally, who buy Pampers?
Mothers.
Mothers. And internationally, parents, not just mother, father as well, mom and dad, right? So that means when mom just like look after the kid at home, dad has to come and buy it, isn't it? So when guys go to buy Pampers, what do they have to buy too? Many times they buy beers. And when they buy beers, snack must come as well. That's why this is the phenomenon that they always see. When there are lots of people who buy Pampers, they also buy snacks as well. That's why they just put what to say, the snacks like peanuts, popcorn, or what to say, almonds,นะครับ, hang next to the shelf of the Pampers. Some of you say that, and then why don't they just like put beers next to the Pampers? It is difficult, because beer need to be chilled. Then it must be in the fridge. Then the fridge is in another section that is separated. But as I told you, if they have like something like peanuts or popcorn, they just hang. Right now, you can see that when you go to supermarket, peanuts not just like put on the shelf. They just have like the strip of the clips and they hang the back of the peanuts over there. This is the reason. This is from data analytics, from the receipts that people purchase. Before we can just like analyze the data in details, especially when you have like millions of receipts coming in. The things that you may have to do is that you have to just like understand how to do the lookup reference first. That's why today we have to come with the lookup reference. So that might inspire some of you in the near future when you just like plan to do your master degree. And if you would like me to just like write down a recommendation letter, especially if you would like to go for the data analytics field, I'm glad to do that. Just like contact me. Okay. All right. Okay, then now let's come back to talk about our lookup reference. Okay. For the first function that you have to learn is what we call the edge lookup function. As I told you, the lookup function come from the references, the orientation of the data. If the data that you want to look up is span horizontally, you have to use edge lookup. If it's span vertically, you use VLOOKUP. Now I will show you the first example, and after that I will just like explain the functions of the edge lookup that we have to use. Okay. Okay, let me just give you the table of the examination results of students. I'll copy one column at a time, so that you can just like copy and paste into your Excel sheet easily. Okay, so this is the exam result table. You may add student ID and name in here. right okay นะครับ so right now you can see that there are 5 students นะครับ and 4 subjects so if I say that I want to find out the score of the student นะครับ Okay, in this example นะครับ suppose we would like to find the biology score for a student named Ed นะครับ for a student named Ed you can see that okay the name is here right the name is here okay let me highlight them first let's see the orientation of data นะครับ name start with Anne go to Kara go to Colin go to Ed go to Frank นะครับ when you just like use the name to search for the data here the name span horizontally that's why in this case we have to use HLOOKUP we have to use HLOOKUP so I want to show you for the HLOOKUP function first to find the biology score of it okay so everyone when you're ready just go to the fx click on the insert function button and type HLOOKUP now let's see the explanation of HLOOKUP function HLOOKUP looks for a value in the top row of a table or array table or array is the same thing it's the group of cells we call it as table or array of values and return the value in the same column from a row you specify so that means in this one you have to just like specify the value first that you want to search for something for example you want to find its biology score then you have to know that where is the biology score located and you can see that biology score is here right okay so what are we going to do you need to understand the argument first is the lookup value lookup value is the value that you use as a key to search for example in here it is your lookup value you use the value F to search into the table to find the value that you want now table array is the table I may call it as a database It's a collection of data that consists of the value that you want to have together with a key that you search for. In this case, I can tell you that from this big table like this, there is a table array that I want to get the data is just this In the blue box, this is our database Somebody said that, hey, what about A01, 02, 03 to A05? My question is that, does it use any student ID in this example to search? No. The things that they tell you is student name. It doesn't tell you student ID. So student ID is not a part of searching in this example at all. So you don't include student ID as a part of the table. So what about course name? Sorry, about course. Yeah, about course description, math, French, physics, biology. If we don't specify, will Excel knows? The answer is yes, Excel will know. You don't need to specify. Why is that, Excel doesn't care whether it's biology or physics or French or math. It cares only row index num. นะครับ row index num what does it mean by row index num row index num means row number in the table that if it finds a matching value it will return the value from the row that you want to have so นะครับ you have to be careful นะครับ the row number is like this ครับ this table has just 5 rows only 1 2 3 4 5นะครับ in this example นะครับ we don't have more than that row number in here นะครับ is what we call row index num it is not this one นะครับ be careful no for example you want to find biology score biology score is here right it is in row number 5 นะครับ not row 14 because this is row index num of this reference of this table array only นะครับ it is not for the whole worksheet so when you specify the row index num you specify number 5 if you want to find biology score okay now the last argument ครับ last argument is what we called range lookup นะครับ range lookup what is range lookup range lookup is a logical value นะครับ it is logical value in what it asks you how can you search นะครับ there are 2 different type of searching the first kind of searching is what we call exact match the other one is closest match or nearby match นะครับ in different version of Excel they may use the word nearby match in some version of Excel they use the closest match นะครับ the same thing so now let's talk about exact match first exact match means the value that is exactly the same as the key that you search for example ed and ed นะครับ when it finds ed in this table then it reports the biology score for you นะครับ so if you enter some name like Edward in the student name นะครับ in the student name here by using exact match we don't have Edward in the yellow cells here right so it shows the error to you if you enter exact match normally นะครับ we use exact match more than closest match especially if you want to match some values exactly นะครับ we have to use exact match by the way sometimes we may use closest match นะครับ if there are some ranges of data นะครับ the value inside that range นะครับ can be any values then we may use closest match for example suppose you say that นะครับ the student name Ed and Edward might be similar person นะครับ Rob and Robert might be the same person that one you can use closest match ครับ so if you use closest match what will happen if you enter Edward in the student name here นะครับ in the student name here you enter Edward นะครับ you enter Edward in this table you don't see Edward right but if you use nearby match or closest match it report the score of Ed for Edward นะครับ in here so you have to be careful นะครับ when you have to use range lookup which one that you want to use if it's range lookup นะครับ if it is exact match you use false for it นะครับ you have to use false if you want to use closest match the argument that you enter is true นะครับ you use the word true inside the argument so in this one นะครับ I'm sure that you want to just like search for the score of that exact student only if that person is Edward for sure you should report error instead because there is no Edward in this table นะครับ okay so now when you have the idea of the HLOOKUP with the arguments already นะครับ I will just like show you how to find the score of Ed นะครับ for his biology score. So in this one นะครับ we go to HLOOKUP. I will specify the lookup value นะครับ in this cell C16. Okay, that is Ed นะครับ here. Table array. As I told you, I will use just the table that consists of the name of students as the first row นะครับ I don't include student ID นะครับ so bear in mind นะครับ for the HLOOKUP you need to have the value that might be searchable นะครับ by your lookup value in the first row. So that means it might be found in row number 1 of your table นะครับ so that means what happened ครับ if you did like this, if you say that okay your table array is here, this one is wrong นะครับ because you will never find it in this first row at all นะครับ first row is the student ID, so you have to just enter student name, then student name is found in row number 2 that is not usable with HLOOKUP นะครับ so the things that we have to do is that you have to specify นะครับ you have to specify the table array that begin with the name of the student in the first row until the last row with the score that you may have. So in this case นะครับ okay, let's see, table array. I start from the cell that I store value of n, that is C10 นะครับ to G14 นะครับ you click and drag ครับ C10 to G14, or you can type the cell location and then separated by colon symbol นะครับ it's the same thing. After that row index num, you count ครับ from this table which row number you want to get the data. We want to find biology score. Biology score is in the row 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.นะครับ you enter row 5. And then range lookup, because this one we want to get the score นะครับ for exact person only, then you have to use the word false นะครับ keyword false. You can see that in here it show 61% นะครับ 61%. Okay, let me just like send the function in the chat box นะครับ okay, this is the HLOOKUP function that we use. In this case นะครับ if you want to modify the function นะครับ, you don't need to just like double click and change. I mean like somebody, if you are fluent in using the function in typing for the HLOOKUP นะครับ you can double click and change each argument straight away. Or some of you who are still not like used to this function นะครับ you can click on that cell that contain of the function and click FX นะครับ in here, so it pops up the dialog box for you in order to just like enter นะครับ in order to enter the data here นะครับ okay, then you can modify it as you want. Okay. Right. Okay, in this first example นะครับ everyone, do you have any questions ครับ So if you don't have any questions นะครับ I want you to do the HLOOKUP for me, please. Okay. I want you to find physics score for Frank for me ครับ I give you 3 minutes นะครับ find physics score for Frank. and then when you get the score of Frank already นะครับ just copy the formula for me นะครับ and send it into the chat box ครับ 30 seconds left นะครับ so right now one student just like show us the function already นะครับ how about the rest of you you get a similar one ครับ now 3 of you show us the answer already นะครับ times up นะครับ ปฏิพล and ก้องกีฬากรนะครับ be careful นะครับ check for your row index number นะครับ so I think row number 5 might not be the correct one นะครับ I think your row number 5 should be the biology score นะครับ check carefully in this one นะครับ okay in this one I have student name นะครับ and then we have the physics score name is Frank okay hang on in this one นะครับ for Frank นะครับ we just like physics score we do similar way as we did with the biology score in this case นะครับ I go to the lookup function นะครับ lookup value is the name of the student that is Frank okay table array นะครับ I start because I mean like I want to search by student name then the student name must be the first row in my table นะครับI highlight them like this. In my case, it is C10 to G14 to G14 นะครับ and then row index num you have to count ครับ row index num of my table where is the physics score located here you have row 1 2 3 4 physics score in this case is in row number 4 นะครับ is in row number 4 so my row index num is row 4 นะครับ and range lookup is false นะครับ so you should get 69% for his score นะครับ in this one so the physics score of Frank is here okay นะครับ so be careful about this one นะครับ because when you count the row number otherwise if you still use like the wrong row number the score นะครับ will be reported for the wrong course instead นะครับ okay so in this one นะครับ you can see that some of the people นะครับ may have the question นะครับ so before I move on to the next explanation do you have any question about this function ครับIf no, let me just like copy this formula to you first นะครับ before I continue explaining. Okay. So somebody have the question like this ครับ I don't use biology score because the question asks for physics. Can I create my table to be like this? Because I get physics score in the last row anyway. This one is okay นะครับ it's not wrong. Somebody said that okay if there are just like hundreds of row below and you add it in your reference table, in your table array, for example, if you say that, okay, you have just like 20 courses and then you add them like this, the table is very huge. Is it okay? Yeah, I can tell you that it's okay ครับ even though you say that you want just physics score that is in this row นะครับ no problem. Okay, so it's up to you, but the things that you have to be careful is that the first one นะครับ the first row นะครับ the first row must be the value that might be searchable by this one นะครับ this one you just search for by using the student name, so the first row must be student name, and the next one is that row number. We always start from the first row as row number 1 นะครับ we don't use like the real row number in the worksheet นะครับ we use the row number in the reference table only. Okay, so นะครับ there's a tips that some of you may be able to use this one นะครับ in the future. You can see that when we have this lookup table นะครับ the things that might happen is here ครับ okay, let me hide this row first because I need to use this space นะครับ okay, so what would I like you to see? You can see that from the previous task that you asked, you can find the score of a student นะครับ for just a specific course only. That means in this one, the first part I said biology score, so my lookup need to specify row 5, and then in this next example you want to find physics score, then I have to write down row number 4. Can we have any universal formula in order to find any course of any student, score of any course of any student นะครับ in this one I'll show you so that we can just like save the time in here นะครับ let's have a look นะครับ if I would like to create นะครับ if I would like to create the grade report นะครับ using lookup and if to find the score of any students on any subject as shown below นะครับ so in this one I will apply นะครับ I will apply the if functions together with the lookup in order to let us find the data นะครับ universally for every course that we have got ครับ so what would I like to have? Suppose I say that I have the template like this. I have the grade report. The things that I have to use is that I enter student name, I enter subject name, and then I can find the score of that student นะครับ okay, for example, if I say that I type นะครับ I type S for the student name and then I type math, it shows 76%. 76%. If I say that, okay, I change from student name นะครับ from S to be Ann, but the math score, I want to know math score of Ann, it shows 58% instead. If I want to know biology score of Ann, it shows 39% instead นะครับ something like this. So that means you can change the name, you can change the subject name, and then you can get the score. So this one will make your function to work universally. What should we do นะครับ in this one the hint is that I use if function to help. Let's analyze the pattern, let's analyze the lookup argument first นะครับ. If you have a look from our previous function that we use in the example, the changes are like row index num นะครับ that can be varied. Biology score is 5 นะครับ physics score is 4, physics is 4, sorry. That means math is 2, French is 3. What should we do in here นะครับ I will use a cell นะครับ an extra cell, sorry. Okay, to specify row number instead. Then I use if function to help. Okay, let me hide this unused row first. Then I said that if the cell that user type in here in my case this is cell C26 is math that means sorry math it is if value if true is 1 sorry 2 row number 2 otherwise if C26 equals to French value if 2 is row number 3 comma if C26 equals to physics value if true is row number 4 and the last one if C26 equals to biology value if true is 5 so this one is to specify row number in my extra cell and then I close the parenthesis. Okay, so let's try first. If I type math, it shows 2, French show 3, biology shows 5. Okay, now I get the if function already. From the if function, what am I gonna do? For this if function, I said that in order to find the score of the student, I formulate the H lookup as usual. Lookup value is the student name here. Table array is this table. C10 to G14. Row index num. Instead of typing my own row index num, I just use this cell, extra cell that I create. Extra cell that I create. And range lookup, and range lookup here is false. So you can see that the special one that is different from the functions that we did before. The HLOOKUP function that we did before was the row index num. Instead of specifying row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, you don't need to do so. You just use the if function to justify the row number for you when the students, when you enter the course name. It shows the row index num by that number instead. So in this case, you can see that right now we get the biology score for Anne already. Now, if you want to know Ed's math score, I type Ed, and the course I want to know is math. It's 76% here. That is correct one. So this is the tricks that we can use in order to use HLOOKUP in order to search for the data universally instead of typing and hard coding row number in your function. You don't need to do so. You can also just like specify an if function to justify the row number in here. Somebody said, can I just like do something that is more complicated than this? I don't want to separate a cell to be the extra cell like this, because sometimes if somebody accidentally delete this cell, I lost the function to find the score. The row number. So somebody might do like this. They put the if function inside the HLOOKUP function straight away. How will the function look like? Okay. So they put the function like this, everyone. They use HLOOKUP. Lookup value the name in here. Table array the same. But for the row index num, instead of typing reference cell the 26 they just copy if function ครับ they just copy if function just one below นะครับ where is the if function they just copy if function here straight away นะครับ and range lookup is false here นะครับ you can see that the function appear like this ครับ this is h lookup with if inside นะครับ so that means if you want to see other people's score let's see let me test first Kara friend score is 71%. Yeah, this is what we want นะครับ let me copy this formula to you นะครับ just in case you would like to use this kind of function นะครับ you can do like this okay right and then you get the score of this person right okay นะครับ this is the H lookup with the exact match with the exact match means that the last argument is false นะครับ for the type of the lookup is exact match do you have any questions about these examples and the tips that we can use my suggestion นะครับ in the exam you don't need to just like formulate the function to have like if inside H lookup no need to do so ครับ and normally I don't ask you in details like this นะครับ but if you want to have if you want to use if function with the H lookup you may just like separate them in another extra cell like this no problem นะครับ the score will not be deducted okay because I mean like I know that if you combine if and H lookup inside the same cell it will be more complicated if you just like miss one parenthesis or one comma นะครับ it will cause a problem immediately so that's why you can separate them นะครับ no problem at all right okay so if you don't have any questions about this นะครับ let me talk about the H lookup but H lookup in this example นะครับ which is the closest match นะครับ is the closest match for the H lookup with the closest match it means that whenever we have to use some the H lookup function to search for a data but right now the data is in term of just what to say range of data for example นะครับ you can see that for the H lookup with the exact match we use H lookup to search for like the text like this that is a specific value right but in terms of the H lookup closest match normally we use the closest match when you have the range of data to justify for example ครับ okay in this one นะครับ I have the data like this okay let's copy this table for to use first okay and then I'll explain to you นะครับ okay นะครับ this is the BMI okay so everyone do you know what BMI is can somebody tell me have you ever heard or have you ever tested or calculated for your BMI
Is it the body mass index?
that's right ครับ it's body mass index it is the proportion นะครับ of your what to say height and weight together นะครับ height and weight together so the way in order to calculate the body mass index or BMI okay let me just like type the formula to you first BMI equals to can somebody help me what is BMI calculation ครับ body mass index come from weight in kilograms นะครับ divided by height นะครับ but height is in meters นะครับ not in centimeters so that means if you measure the height in feet inch นะครับ or centimeters you have to convert them into meters first ครับ okay so in this one assume that we have to calculate the body mass index ครับ for example a person whose weight is 70 นะครับ and the height is 1.8 meters นะครับ 70 kilograms in weight and 1.8 meters in height นะครับ so to calculate the BMI it is weight นะครับ in this one C38 divided by height times height that is height square นะครับ in this one this is the BMI so this person get 21.60 นะครับ for the BMI นะครับ okay. So in this one when you get the BMI already if you want to know your body type what are we going to do ครับ if you have a look นะครับ you just compare my BMI is 21.6 not in this range it's between 18.5 to 24.9 yeah BMI is in this range so my body type is normal weight นะครับ in this one this is the way that we do in order to find out the BMI นะครับ body type so okay any questions about like this kind of just like calculating the BMI and finding in your table in manually if you don't have any ideas of the HLOOKUP so you understand how to find the BMI already and body type already นะครับ now let's computerize it after you get the BMI you want to find out the HLOOKUP BMI body type in the HLOOKUP way you can see that for the HLOOKUP if we just use this table นะครับ if you just use this table as your table array it will be very rare to find out 21.6 in this first row because you can see that the first row here นะครับ the first row here consists of just 4 numbers only 0 or 18.5 or 25 or 30 21.6 นะครับ is very rare because these are continuous numbers in order to search for 21.6 how many different numbers that you have to type in it is impossible so that's why นะครับ if you have the range of data like this นะครับ okay 0 18.5 25 or 30 นะครับ we can use HLOOKUP closest match to find how do we gonna do that นะครับ in order to use HLOOKUP นะครับ to find out the BMI in this case นะครับ okay you just like use the similar way as you did with the regular HLOOKUP okay so in here we use HLOOKUP นะครับ lookup value is your BMI table array is in the pink cells that I highlight นะครับ that I frame it row index now I want to know body type is in row 3 นะครับ is in row 3 sorry it's in row number 3 actually table array นะครับ I just use yellow cell is enough ครับ I don't want to have word min max body type นะครับ because computer doesn't understand this text okay it is D32 to G34 ครับ just yellow cells range look up here if you enter false นะครับ you can see that the intermediate result shows nothing in here นะครับ it will show NA or not applicable or you cannot find it because you don't see 21.6 in the first row, right? Now, if I change from range lookup from false to be true, let's see what happened นะครับ everyone. The intermediate results นะครับ the intermediate results show me that hang on I just like did something wrong. Row 3 ครับ not row 4. It shows me normal weight. It shows me normal weight. Why is that ครับ Okay, let me just copy this formula to you นะครับ So the thing that will happen is that in here นะครับ the reason why it shows you normal weight is that firstly it compare นะครับ it compare 21.6. Okay, let me just clear out this one first. It compare 21.6 นะครับ with 0. 21.6 is greater than 0, right? Then H lookup will jump to the next cell. It compares 21.6 with 18.5. 21.6 is greater than 18.5, right? So H lookup will jump to search for นะครับ to look up at 25 to compare 21.6 with 25, right? Now 21.6 and 25 is greater than 21.6, right? So the action here is that H lookup will jump back to this cell and then stop and report this value. That's why it shows as normal weights. Let me do it again นะครับ Firstly, the lookup value 21.6 will be compared with 0. 21.6 is greater than 0. H lookup jumps to the next cell. 21.6 is comparing with 18.5. It's still greater than 18.5. Then H lookup will jump to the next cell. 21.6 will be compared with 25. 21.6 is greater than 25 is greater than 21.6. So H lookup will go back to the previous cell นะครับ report this value and then stop นะครับ that's why it shows normal weights. Okay, so นะครับ this is the way how H lookup with the closest match work. What about นะครับ let's try other value ครับ if you say that okay in this one if the power if the BMI นะครับ if the BMI is if the BMI is 35, let's say it's 35, what will happen นะครับ in this one? Okay, I just hard code 35 in here. It shows obese นะครับ why 35 shows obese นะครับ let me just like explain to you. This one will happen only when the power BI when the H lookup with the closest match นะครับ use 35 will be compare นะครับ will be compare with 0 first. 35 is more than 0. H lookup jumps to the next cell. 35 with 18.5 will be compared. 35 is greater than 18.5. Then H lookup jumps to the next cell. It's 25. นะครับ 35 is still more than 25. It jumps to the next cell. 35 will be compared with 30. นะครับ It tries to jump to the next cell, but your table array stop here. That's why Power BI has to stop and report this value to you นะครับ Okay, let me repeat this explanation once again นะครับ If you have 35 to compare with the values in H lookup table, firstly it starts from the leftmost cell นะครับ that is 0 นะครับ when it's over 0 it's more than 0 it jumps to the next cell 35 is still more than 18.5 it jumps to the next cell 25 35 is more than 25 jumps to 30 now it try to jump to the next cell again because 35 is over 30 but the table array finish at this column G นะครับ that's why it stop here and report the value นะครับ of the last cell to you that is obese so this one it is useful because you can use the value in this one นะครับ to just like search for the value that is in the range easily somebody asked me that what about the second row ครับ the max is not related to the HLOOKUP at all นะครับ this is for human when we read it so in here actually นะครับ HLOOKUP need just like these two rows are enough นะครับ 0 18.5 25 and 30 is enough okay but I mean like when we read we might not understand okay if our BMI is 21.6 why it's just like why is normal weight why it's not overweight something like that นะครับ because this one is mean so that's why I have to add another row for us in order to see that in case of max what is that value so that we just understand what it is okay right okay นะครับ this is the HLOOKUP with the closest match so up to this point do you have any questions ครับ anyone